Hello, welcome to the Keeper Chronicles. This is week 7 in review. This is actually podcast number 8. I have, of course, with me your favorite, my not co-host, my featured guest on just about every podcast. It is, of course, Jacob. You are on camera now, Jacob.
Hey, everyone. Glad to be here. Glad to be back. And I'm really glad Luke's back.
Yeah. I'll say thank you for keeping the podcast going. The PowerPoint one was really, it's really something.
It was a busy week.
But I'll admit, pulling in all the guests last week was excellent. I think people like the variety. Now that we're back to our usual flavor, not sure if it's going to be an upgrade or a downgrade to have me back. So maybe I should have just stayed in Egypt.
You haven't lost since you've been in Egypt.
I haven't, and that is why this week is called Rise of the Mummy, because I think that something Jacob was claiming it was a pharaoh that was running my team, but I think it's a mummy.
I just didn't know if you solved any puzzles. Got
Brendan
nice.
Fraser.
Oh, you're going with the Brendan Fraser. I was thinking more like Millennium Puzzle Yu-Gi-Oh style.
Oh, Yu-Gi-Oh, yeah, sure. No, yeah, I didn't encounter any mummies over there, but both Jacob's son James and Lewis, they were both very concerned that I was going to be seeing mummies in Egypt.
Lewis was scared?
I had to explain to both of them that mummies are real, but they're not like Scooby-Doo mummies.
Yes.
That come and get you. So, but it's good to be back. We have a lot to talk about this week. Jacob wanted to bring up first trades or trade rumors, both in the NFL and our fantasy teams.
This is just an option, but we can go for it.
Yeah, I just want to talk about it. Get started.
So, you came up and asked me, or kind of asked my opinion on Matt Stafford.
Oh, that's BS, right?
Coming to the Vikings, yes.
Yeah.
It's been floating around. It is false. There is no actual interest in bringing him to the Vikings, on the Vikings side at least.
I got a text from my coworker Judah saying Matt Stafford for Sam Darnold with the little eye emoji.
No, not real.
Not real.
What about the actual trades that have gone through? Devontae Adams to the Jets. We haven't talked about this since you were gone.
I didn't start Garrett Wilson on my team. That's because of that.
It seems like it was a good choice.
Probably a good choice.
And then breaking this morning, David beat me to picking him up, but DeAndre Hopkins to the Chiefs.
Yes.
What are your thoughts there?
It'll be really interesting to see, is DeAndre Hopkins a top-tier wide receiver? Is KC a place where he can really shine? I don't think so, actually.
I mean, it'll be interesting, right? He's not a... So Kansas City seems to be a yards after catch offense.
Yes,
like think Rashee Rice, Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill. You just kind of go on and on. DeAndre Hopkins is an elite wide receiver, but he's not a yak receiver. He's a contested ball catching receiver, in my opinion. We'll see.
Honestly, I haven't seen anything like spectacular out of him because of the teams he's been playing on.
I mean, you had the Hail Mary, where he caught the Hail Mary from Kyler Murray. He put up huge numbers during with some really bad quarterbacks for the Texans. But we'll see. I mean, David picked him up, scooped him probably minutes after the news broke. Good for you, David.
Bleacher Report or something.
Yeah, for real. Have you been receiving any trade offers? Because there's been one member that has been really, well...
Has it been David?
No.
Who's been sending you
Ross
offers?
has been giving me a lot, and Boompa, I don't even consider his trade offers because they're just the most...
They're always just to poke the bear.
Yes.
Like offering me the Vikings defense that I picked up off the waivers, and they got me a touchdown. Yeah, thank you, Boompa, for that great offer.
Yeah, I was offered Lad McConkey, the rookie for the Chargers, for Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Okay.
And then get this, but then Boompa being Boompa thought that I offered him that trade and it just expired.
Oh, classic. Yeah. Boompa, you might want to go get that checked out. I feel like I always like I like to send a counter offer
Okay.
most of the times if I see kind of what they're interested in receiving. And lately it's like I've been trying to put in a counter offer and I'm like, I don't even need anything from you. Like there's nothing I need from most of your teams.
Your team's good, Luke. It is good.
My team is good. My team has depth. It's just it needs to perform. Actually, my team lost all its depth to injuries recently, so
yeah.
I might be hitting you up. I did get a trade from David. He offered me. Who did he offer me?
Jameson Williams,
Yeah.
the Lions wide receiver.
Yes, he offered me Jameson Williams, thinking that I wouldn't read that he just accepted a 2-week suspension. He offered me Jameson Williams for, who was it even? I think it was
Jordan Addison.
No, it was somebody even more appalling than that. That he would offer me that.
Okay.
Maybe it was Debo.
Yeah.
I was like, absolutely not.
No, Ross has been trying to get a wide receiver from me. He's been throwing out a couple offers, been withdrawing some before I get a chance to respond to them. But they're guys that I don't necessarily want to get rid of.
See,
there's
Ross needs the depth.
There are some interesting offers he's at least making me think about. I'll give him that. They're not full bogus offers. Thanks, Ross.
Yeah. Not a whole lot of. I have not received a trade offer from Sam, Mark, or Benton.
I've tried trading with Mark, but I just feel like those Miltimore boys are in his ear.
Yeah, he's only going to trade with somebody who can get him on Fortnite distracted.
He tried to trade you for Olave.
Olave?
Yeah, he just commented it.
Oh, boy. It was Olave. Olave, who's coming back from concussion.
Yeah, with Spencer Rattler.
Yeah, I don't know if that...
Boomer Sooner. That's
anyway,
for you, Booms.
So, let's talk about what happened in Week 7. You and I faced off.
Yeah, So, I think you checked. My ideal lineup would not have beaten you.
No,
it would have come close.
No, you would have been 5 points shy.
But I tinkered with that lineup beyond the point it needed to. It was full mismanagement. Part of it was a little homerism, thinking that the Vikings defense was going to shut down Amon-Ra. It didn't. And then I also, Brian Thomas Jr., he's good, but like I thought the Pats defense was good too.
Right.
So
can you really count on a Jaguars?
He's actually been doing very well.
I know,
but
he's
scary. He's scary for me to start.
Either way, you wouldn't have beat me. So
right. And I'm not trying to take away from your win at all, but I really feel like I am in my full mismanagement era right now.
I mean, I went 0-3 to start. I lost to Sam, renamed to the idiot. Yeah. Went 0-4 to start, and I was in my mismanagement, and now I'm on the win 3 streak, and next to your name you have an L3.
I do. Thanks.
So we are on opposite trends right now, and I feel like it was just great to...
Luke, I had to like talk you off a cliff when you were 0-4, saying like you're only 2 games out, like.
Yeah, and now I'm feeling good.
You were in a very dark place.
I'm feeling great.
I'm glad you're back.
I
wish I would have won, but I'm glad
I
you're
honestly,
back.
So like the way that Benton probably feels about his team right now and his chances to go to the postseason is how I felt at Week 4 when I lost to Sam and had to rename. But now I'm feeling great. Now I'm feeling good. I'm feeling like the world is at my feet.
Well, speaking of Benton, I cannot remember. I don't think I've ever encountered someone with worse injury luck than him.
Yeah.
Jaden Daniels goes down late first, early second quarter with a rib injury. I don't think it makes a huge difference in the outcome of this week's fantasy score. But like, I don't know if he's had a week where he has not had a guy miss a substantial amount of time during the game.
I'm also like, I'm puzzled at some of his starts. Like and even his bench, like he has so many, like why does he have Chase Brown and Braylon Allen, 2 RB2s?
Chase Brown is like a 1B. Chase Brown is good.
Okay, well, he started him, but like I feel like let me even look at the players who are available right now as running backs. Like
There's not much.
you wouldn't want Austin Eckler.
No.
You wouldn't want Rico Dowdle.
No.
Singletary even.
No.
Those are all guys I feel like could do better than Braylon Allen.
Braylon Allen, Braylon Allen, I think has some large upside, especially.
He really doesn't though.
Well,
If you I watch the Jets games because I have Breece Hall. Breece Hall gets the ball, doesn't do much. Braylon Allen gets the ball. He does he does
more than Breece when he gets the ball.
Yeah, but he's not getting the receptions because he's not getting the snaps either.
We'll see.
So
We'll see.
I feel like Benton needs to get on those waivers a little bit more aggressively, is my personal opinion.
I don't think there's much there.
Consider it a matter of opinion.
I do have to give David some props here. His team looks very good. Like it's David that we know.
I'm on the one hand, I'm very surprised that you look at David's record. He's positive, right?
He had a couple. He's +1 on luck, but not that.
But he
yes.
He like fumbled out of the gate.
Well, he just had some bad injury luck.
Had some bad injuries
and a couple bad weeks where he was figuring it out.
Now you look at what he's got going for him. I mean, he's got Laporta and Kraft. Like this is some good waiver. Yep. This is some good waiver movement. I mean, Amari Cooper on Buffalo.
Yeah, but part of it is David took some chances probably a week before they were seen as guys to get.
It's true. But like he's also got Ramondre. So
he traded for Ramondre.
I know he traded for Ramondre, but he's got James Conner who's doing well for him. But David, I feel like has really had to kind of fight tooth and nail and has really shown some management acumen in getting his team back on track.
Yeah.
So props to you, David. Good job.
Another guy that we just have to give manager of the year to, Mark Miltimore, the Wiz. Loves his Packers. Jaden Reed, getting him early before he kind of broke out this year. Got to give him some credit.
Yeah, he did only get 3 points this week.
Okay. Yeah, so we can go to his game, Boomps versus the Cheese Whiz. Boomps wins, but Ayuk goes down, which I honestly feel like is probably good for Boompa.
Right.
Ayuk has not been doing much for him, and for him to go down means Boompa no longer feels the pressure to start him every week.
So true.
And so
maybe take some chances on some of his other guys.
Yes.
I don't know who, though. Actually, now that I'm looking, he's got injured Nico Collins. Oh, CeeDee Lamb was on bye.
Yeah.
So
I mean, so looking at this week right now, he did pick up Tyler Lockett as well.
Oh, yeah.
He's got potential. Right now he's starting CD and Tyler Lockett. Nico Collins, I think, comes back next week, I want to say. He has Nick Chubb on the bench, who played. I was wrong.
Yep.
I'm apologizing to anyone that I told was never going to play again.
Jerome Ford is up for grabs. I know you all wanted him early in the season. So
yeah. And so Boomps' team with Nico Collins is significantly better. It's a little thin overall, but if you put Nico in there, it's a pretty good team.
Yeah, I mean, he's got the dual backs, Henry and Mixon. That's such a good combo
and
right now.
DeAndre Swift, who is good.
Right, is going to be. Yeah.
And like I said, Nick Chubb, who by fantasy football playoffs could be very good.
Right. He's still got Lad McConkey to put in the game too.
Okay, yeah.
Just speaking of Mark, okay, so like he is really I think he's missed it every week on the Najee versus A-Chain. And mostly I think because he started A-Chain, and A-Chain, if you look at his game log, goes 23 and 29 to open. Those are 23 points, 29 points.
Okay.
And then he scores under 10 points for 3 weeks.
Okay.
Has a bye week and scored 10 points this week.
I believe if we want to probably look back, I would bet that those last 4 games are all completely without Tua. I believe he scored over 10 in that Tua. He caught a lot of balls in the game that Tua left, and Tua should be coming back
Yeah,
soon.
you're right.
And Tua is not wearing a Guardian cap, in case you're wondering.
Oh, Tua. Yes, you're right. A-Chain had 7 receptions in each of those first 2 games, and he has not had more than 3 in a game.
I mean, he's
since then.
like Tyreek Hill. That whole Dolphins offense is just horrible without Tua.
The point is, Najee Harris, of course, yes, did get 16 points this week and outscored Devin A-Chain. So, Mark again just missing it on that one.
So I'm just gonna throw this out here for Mark. Najee is facing the Giants this week. Do you know what Saquon Barkley averaged per carry against the Giants? 10 yards per carry.
That's also Saquon versus Najee.
Okay, fair.
Najee's a good runner, kind of, but I feel like maybe he'll average like 7, which is still great. So I would start him.
I mean,
he also has who's Bucky Irving going up against? Or is
Bucky's going up against Atlanta. A-Chain's going up against Arizona, and he's projected 17.9.
Oh, man.
Kyron's going up against Minnesota, and he's projected 17.2.
Mark has some tough decisions
He's
to
got
make.
tough decisions. Good luck, Wiz. You know I'm a big fan.
The last matchup of this last week was Ross versus Sam. Boom versus Romnus.
So Ross had the 2-game losing streak.
Yes, he did.
And we were starting to say, like, the wheels are falling off. Luke's prediction is right. Wow. He was at one point, I think, projected like 180, maybe even 190 during the middle of probably the Eagles game when they were just going off until they benched Saquon for being too good. I mean, his defense scored 21 points. He didn't even have Brandon Aubrey this week, which his kicker is, outscoring
one of his top scorers.
Right. So like Ross's team is hard to beat on most weeks, and I do have to say that that 2-game losing streak looks more like a hiccup than anything. But
okay, my big critique of Ross used to be that he didn't have depth, but like looking at his team now, I don't know that holds any water anymore. You've got Marvin Harrison on the bench, which I don't know if you're considering him good still at this point. He's got Aaron Jones on the bench. He's got J.K. Dobbins on the bench. He's got Juju on the bench. Trey McBride to replace Brock Bowers if he ever needs to. There's a lot.
He also picked up Jalen McMillan and Cade Otton this week.
Oh, and in place of who?
Some guys that he probably didn't need. Harrison Butker probably.
Oh, yeah, he dropped Butker. I saw that.
Someone else. But he's essentially picked up both possible replacements for the main amount of targets in Tampa Bay.
Yeah. Ross he's a hawk, man. He is a hawk. And now Sam, Sam and Rashad White. Name a more contentious relationship than Sam and Rashad White. Maybe Sam and Michael Pittman. I honestly would RIP.
Sam at least gave up on Michael Pittman. Rashad White, with Evans and Godwin going down, maybe Rashad White transitions to wide receiver.
Maybe.
He could be good.
Man, I'm so sorry for Sam.
That's a high pick that kind of isn't performing.
Let me look at week 8 because I should probably have updated rosters here. Let's look at week 8. Come on, I don't know.
Just to fill some time here, Rashad White was drafted 10th overall by Sam so he was the second pick of the second round.
Sam picked up Rashad Bateman.
Yeah, Sam has Rashad Bateman. That was his big pickup this week.
What do you think about that one?
I mean,
he was active in the game.
If Lamar's going to start throwing the ball like he did, I mean, he only threw it 22 times. So your target cap isn't going to be that high.
Yeah.
But he also completed 17 of 22. So in theory, if he's targeted 6 times, even 5 times, and he's going to be catching deep balls like that, he could have some good value. I think right now it's more of a hope he increases in value sort of pick up for Sam. I don't think he's planning on starting him, but Sam's team is pretty weak. Tyreek Hill looks bad. Wan'Dale Robinson, great amount of targets he gets. DJ Moore, that's currently his 2 starting wide receivers and his flex. So Rashad Bateman's a great guy to just take a flyer on.
Let's move on to our awards from this last week. Yeah, let's start with the Gritty Award. This is going to, of course, the man who's won it the most times this season and will probably win the seasonal Gritty Award is going to Ross. Congratulations, Ross. Nobody really wants you to win the Gritty every week, but it seems like it's impossible to stop you.
Ross, you're like the guy everyone loves to cheer against.
Absolutely.
You just score too many points that now it's not fun to cheer for you.
You're like Patriots dynasty at this point.
Yeah, but the Patriots dynasty was kind of fun to watch.
looking. Yeah, that's true. I was looking at just at the standings, and it shows everything, and was really looking at the sadness of the points against Benton. 992.
Yeah.
And it's like Ross has 998 points for.
Well,
so
yeah.
Benton almost has more points against him.
Last week he did. Last week
it was
Benton's opponent was the top scoring team in the league, if you considered that.
Just awful.
Yeah, Ross just passed Benton's opponents this week.
So congratulations, Ross. You get to Gritty on everybody once more. What's our next award? Oh, yes.
Got Best Bench.
Best Bench. Who's that going to go to this week, Jay?
It's me. Yay.
There you go.
I feel like we could rename this the Mismanager Award.
We could, yeah, Mismanagement Award. That could be good.
I feel like it Best Bench means it's kind of like something you want to win, when in reality this is like you kind of did something dumb.
Yep, you kind of sat the star.
Yeah. So, I'm on Ross St. Brown. I saw for at least half PPR leagues, he was wide receiver 1 with, I think at half PPR, he was somewhere around 21 points, which is the lowest points scored by a wide receiver 1 since like 2007.
This is a bad week for wide receivers?
Just in general,
Interesting.
It's either, you could say it's a bad week or just that it was spread more evenly.
Yeah,
you didn't have any one guy kind of pop off.
Right. Yeah, and again, just wanted to point out that still, even if you had started him, and even if you had started, who was your other guy who went off?
Brian Thomas Jr.
Yeah, even if you had started both of them, you just wouldn't.
And that's okay. Even if I could have beat you, Luke, like it's my mismanagement is just something I have to live with.
All right, give us who won the waiver winner this week, because I actually didn't even look at that.
Oh, good. So there was a couple defenses that were picked up that did well. None, I would say, meaningful. You could say Cincinnati scored 15 points, but the Wiz still lost. I thought Njoku's pickup by me, Njoku being a tight end, scoring 23.6 points, probably is a waiver winner.
Oh, interesting. So you're just gonna have me take your word for it. That he's the waiver winner.
If you want to come up with a different guy,
it's whatever.
Yeah, I did send the agenda to you with you to fill in.
I know. Yeah, I just honestly must have glanced over that award. So I literally just don't have any notes for that. All I see is Njoku, 23.6 points. Didn't even know that you'd picked him up. That was so. Even though he played against me.
So the waiver winner is a hard one to pick because, although there might be a lot of waiver activity, they don't necessarily start, and so it's a trickier one for sure. Not rigged.
Well, this is fun. Only 2 people are winning awards this week because the Russell Wilson Award. Well, why don't you talk about what you think about the Russell Wilson Award?
Well, I mean, he's still Russell Wilson at the end of the day. He's still
Mr. Unlimited.
Mr. Unlimited. But he showed up this week. He was either the second or the top scoring free agent in our league this week with 25 points. So I don't feel right naming an award after him for someone that kind of is Mr. Unlimited.
Well, here's the deal. I'll give it to you. I'm not giving you the award,
Oh,
but
thank you.
I'll grant it to you that that is maybe not the appropriate
Title?
way to view this award this week. But in the spirit of how Russell Wilson performed, he came back and he proved himself. I'm going to give it to Ross this week because after a 2-game losing streak, he comes back and he shows himself. He's still the boom. He's still Mr. Unlimited. So, Ross, congratulations. You win the Russell Wilson Award this week. And even though it's kind of with a positive light, don't forget.
Still Russell Wilson.
And by the end of the year, when we're counting up who won the awards, you will still have the Russell Wilson, and nobody will remember that it was positive.
That's right.
Unless you keep it in mind. So enjoy that award while you have it. I have kind of a different, it's not really an award. It's more of a club that I was just looking into.
Okay.
And so there's a club this year that I do not have the privilege to be a part of. But on behalf of the Under 100 Club, I would like to formally welcome you, Jacob, for scoring under 100 points this week.
Did I score over 100 points in week 1?
Yes, you did.
Okay.
I think there was one team that scored like 100.3. Maybe
that was probably me.
So, yeah, you've officially entered the Under 100 Club for this season. Now, I recognize that over the last 4 seasons, 3 seasons, 4 seasons, that many of you have scored under 100 points. But Jacob is entering this season's Under 100 Club, joining Benton's 2 entries in Week 7 and Week 6. Sam and Mark's 2 entries, both in Week 2 and Week 3. They seem to be kindred spirits there. And, of course, David's Week 1 starting gate stumble. Now, there is, however, it's a very prestigious club to be in the Under 100 Club.
Okay.
There is, however, an even more elite, even more exclusive club in our league.
Okay.
The Under 70 Club.
Ooh. I'm glad I'm not in that.
No, there is the sole member, founder, and president, Samuel John, who, of course, is alone in having the lowest score. He had, wait, is it this one? I think it's this one. There he is. He had 64, what was it? He had 64.46 in week 2, so that was Sam's week 2.
Now, these clubs are going to reset each year. Is that kind of the thought?
It's not really. I just wanted to bring it up because it was just a fun thing. I was just like,
okay.
I don't think it started with the thought, I don't think I've scored. I was looking at your score, and I was looking at what the lowest score was in our season so far, and it was Sam week 2, 64. And then I was like, I don't think, even with all my problems, that I've been under 100. And I was right. And then I was like, oh, who's been under 100? And so, yeah, you, Sam, Mark, David, and Benton have all been under 100, which means that Ross, Boompa, and I are the only 3 who have not been under 100 this season.
Yeah.
And Saranch wants to call me a pretender. I don't think so.
Well, so that's interesting because if we were to go to my power ranks where we kind of face every team against each other, Ross, Boompa, and yourself are top 3.
There it is.
There you go.
That makes absolute sense.
Ross, of course, being the almost every week gritty winner, continues to be number 1. Boompa, always kind of a close second, third in there. He continues to be number 2. You're number 3 solo now. David creeping up to number 4. Sam creeps up to number 5. I dropped down to number 6 after my poor showing. And Mark sneaks up to number 7, fully above Benton now. And Benton, I'm sorry, man. You're at 8 by yourself. A fair amount of movement in the middle while the top 3 stay strong. What's crazy is Ross could score 0 points this week, and Boompa could score 2,000 or be the highest scorer, and they would have the same number of wins against all.
Right.
Ross has just been so dominant this year.
Yeah, I mean, it would take a serious bust on all fronts for Ross for him to really drop in these rankings.
Yes.
for 2 weeks. He'd have to bust 2 weeks in a row
Yes.
to really drop.
Not just like lose, but like
Lose hard.
bust.
Yeah,
Yes.
like join Sam in the under 70
Yes.
club.
Yes.
Bust. Yeah, I mean, I feel like I don't want to inflate Ross's ego too much, but I mean, he's really got a good team this
His
year.
team is very good.
And I don't want it to feel like he's just bound to win, but he might be.
Do you want to jump to the PPR tab?
Yeah, sure. I'll show it.
So this is the positional power ranks that we talk about each week, which really mean nothing. So like last week, week 7, the number 1 and number 2 team ranked team 1, but the 7 and 8th team won as well. So that continues the winning streak for the rank 8 team, and it continues the losing streak for rank 4. A fun little oddity.
A cursed position.
Yeah, a fun little oddity here is we actually have 2 teams ranked 4th this week, tied.
So that would be David and Mark.
Yes.
So they're both going to lose.
I hope so, because I happen to be facing one of them.
Who are you facing?
I'm facing David this week.
You are, okay.
And then the rank 8th team, Lukey.
How am I ranked 8th?
I don't know. Your team, they don't like it.
What is going on with that? Like I guess I was.
So,
wow.
So
okay.
I was kind of looking at this, and essentially, if you have a really good quarterback or a really good tight end, it will really boost your rank here.
They don't count Baker and Travis as good?
Travis is actually number 3, but
Baker is excellent, isn't he?
I don't know what he was ranked this week. Sorry.
Oh, man.
It doesn't matter. He's doing great for you.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, so I just highlighted them. Just want to give a little warning. Mark and David, sorry, you've already lost. You might as well just bench your whole team and let me have the win easy. Thanks, David. Luke, congrats, you've already won. If pattern holds.
That what? That when 8 goes against 1?
No, 8 just always wins.
Oh,
Well,
8 has always won?
Not always.
No.
8
Week
won
2.
week 7, week 7, week 6, week 5, week 4, week 3.
Every week but week 1 and 2.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
I am going up against Ross, ranked number 1, so this will be quite the upset if I pull this off.
Well, good luck. You have a streak to uphold for all of the 8 seeds in the past.
I do have I will. We're gonna look at the upcoming.
Well, do you want to talk waivers or?
Oh yeah, I mean waiver movement.
Yeah.
All I have to say is you guys are absolute vultures, all of you. Like I went on to I'm feeling pretty good about my team. I probably could have ditched some guys for injuries, but they're coming off of like concussions. You know, DK Metcalf banged up his knee, whatever that means. So I'm not like in a rush to drop these guys who are actually really good. So I just didn't do anything, but I went on this morning to kind of see like, is there anybody I really should be picking up? And it was just like, man, you guys picked it over. The league has been ridden with injuries, and let's just say all of the backups were picked up for Mike Evans. Jawan Jennings was picked up.
I told you can get Ricky Pearsall.
Again, who is he?
He's the guy that got shot in the chest.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be good.
He's like the starting wide receiver if Debo doesn't play. So
well, Debo might not play. So, but yeah, you guys are you're vultures. Like it was like, and what's funny is I see all of these. You do the waiver report, failed waiver because you guys are all going after the same guys.
Yeah.
Like you're just attracted to the stench of the dead bodies, and so it's just. And meanwhile, I'm not seeing really any movement from certain teams.
So I did want to point out that Brandon Ayuk is up for grabs if anyone wants to stash for keeping's sake. Also, I dropped Deontay Johnson. I know a lot of people were targeting him a couple weeks ago in trades, and I held on to him unwisely, but now you can get him for free, everyone. Darnell Mooney back up for grabs a couple weeks.
He's a favorite of Kirkos.
He is, but he also happens to have brick hands.
That's so true. Targeted 12 times, 3 receptions.
Yeah. And then, of course, David, I don't know what time the DeAndre Hopkins news broke, but David at 6:34 Central picked up DeAndre Hopkins dropping Romeo Doubs, who he claimed on waivers this week. But DeAndre Hopkins DeAndre Hopkins on the Chiefs supersedes Doubs.
Absolutely.
So, not a ton of crazy changes. Like you said, a lot of dead bodies were smelled and trying to pick up the fresh meat.
Did David end up getting Juwan?
Yes.
So David is back with the X. Juwan picked him up after his 46-point game, dropped it like it was hot the next week, and he's back. It's kind of like Sam and Isaiah Likely, which, by the way, Mark Andrews.
I know.
Is he back?
I'm surprised Benton has not signed his boyfriend.
I know. Benton loves Mark Andrews, and I would love to personally see that reunion because I think there's some reconciliation that needs to happen there.
Mark Andrews is getting targets now.
He's getting
in
touchdowns.
The red zone.
He's getting touchdowns now.
I don't know.
2 games in a row he's had a touchdown.
I know. Benton needs to get back with the ex.
He really does.
His boyfriend.
Benton's boyfriend.
All right. You want to move to Week 8 preview?
Yeah, let's talk about the matchups this week.
So I mentioned this to you that you didn't quite realize. We're circling back to Week 1. These are all rematches from Week 1. And Week 1 was an interesting week. Yeah, do you want to say a game and then we'll kind of...
Yeah, you can. We're gonna start doing a pick 'em. So Jacob and I will pick teams, and we'll see if we were right.
I don't
about
like
them next
this.
week. Hey, no offense, no hard feelings. Okay, no tough. I was called a pretender on my own podcast when I was gone. Okay. Actually, it wasn't. It was a bootleg podcast that's unofficial.
Whoa!
It didn't have my Keeper Chronicles branding.
You didn't send me any of the material, and I just had to use
ask for it.
Default PowerPoint.
You brought on unsolicited guests.
Are you saying the podcast wives were not invited?
I didn't invite them. There was no clearance here, so it was bootleg. It was on the Jacob Ambrose YouTube channel, also bootleg. So, we're gonna pick. We're gonna pick them.
Okay, sure. What game you starting with?
We're starting with you versus David.
Okay, so just for some history's sake, this is a game I should not have won in Week 1. Basically only won because Puka went down and Jordan Mace. I had Christian McCaffrey starting, and I also had Greg the Leg Zerline start as my starting kicker. Christian McCaffrey, 90 minutes before game time, is ruled out. I have to drop Greg the Leg, pick up Jordan Mason. Without that, I would have lost.
I forgot about that.
Yes. I feel like that Week 1 victory was a bit of a fluke. Obviously, 2 very different teams now. I'm going to pick myself, though.
Yeah, I mean, David is projected to be more than you. I'm going to have to let me get you up there. There you go. So Jacob picks Jacob. David is projected more. However, it is going to be a toss-up, I think, just because it's only 1 point more. However, I do think that you are trending downward. And David, again, I'm just very impressed at his resilience, so I am going to pick him. So we are opposite on this. I think that David is going to win. I really like what he's got going on with Gibbs and Connor. I think it looks like he's starting Tucker Kraft against Jacksonville. Like, that is going to be a huge potential there. Don't love the Drake London start.
But this is the Atlanta-Tampa Bay rematch. If you remember, Drake London did go off against Tampa Bay.
So that's my pick. I'm picking David. Obviously, you can't pick David to beat you. Like, you got to hope for yourself. So I understand, like, wanting to.
I think I could be realistic if I actually did feel like I wasn't going to win, but I feel like I can beat David this week.
You're entitled to that.
Yeah.
Next, we've got the Contenders versus the Frame Train.
So this was an ominous start for Benton in Week 1. Lost by 2.42 points. Scored, I think, 3rd highest in the league. He was one of the top 4 scorers for sure, but still took the loss. And I feel for Benton, and it just really was a harbinger of his bad luck throughout the week or throughout the season so far. Yeah.
Oh man, Benton. Man.
It looks like Jaden Daniels is not trending to play this week either.
Yeah, and he's starting Scary Terry as well. Who's the backup in Washington, do you know?
Marcus Mariota.
Oh yeah, okay. Well, so counting on a Mariota to Scary Terry connection, I don't think bodes well for Benton. Boompa's got, like I said, Derrick Henry and Joe Mixon alone could probably take Benton's team. And he's got CeeDee Lamb coming. And he's got Tyler Lockett potentially without DK Metcalf. And he's got DeAndre Swift playing against Washington. This could be an absolute blowout. So I don't know who your pick is, but I'm going to go ahead and pick the Contenders to win this matchup.
I will probably pick the Contenders as well. I don't think it's going to be a blowout.
Really?
I don't believe that Josh Allen is going to blow Seattle out of the water. I think Dalton Kincaid continues to be underwhelming. Also, the Washington defense is a little underrated. They are always ranked 30th, but they've been doing pretty well the last couple weeks. And CeeDee Lamb is going up against the 49ers at San Francisco. So, we'll see what Benton does. Let's see. CJ Stroud is going up against Indianapolis. He's got to bounce back. CJ Stroud looked really bad last week. So, I think Boompa still wins, but I don't think it's a blowout.
Okay, well, you heard it here. Jacob doesn't think it's a blowout, but we both picked Boompa to win. So, congrats, Boompa. We do think that you are a contender this week. All right, my team versus Ross. Idiot versus all boom.
Currently, Ross is projected a 9-point favorite. History on this. This was actually like the only game that was not close week one. Ross, I think, scored 140 some points, and you scored almost like 100 flat.
Yeah, he blew me out.
Ross has 4 of 7 currently. He has 4 of 7 players playing in the same game. Jalen Hurts, Saquon, and A.J. Brown. He'll always have those 3.
Yeah.
But then Jamar Chase is playing against the Eagles this week. So if that is a slow game, like...
Yeah, depending on how the game goes.
Yes. But, Cincinnati's defense hasn't been great. And Jamar Chase is Jamar Chase. So I don't see that happening, but it's just an interesting tidbit that more than half of his offensive players are playing in one game.
That is really weird. And it does lend itself, like you said, like we've said this whole season, to the bust potential. If it is just a slow kind of grinding, halting game, which it probably won't be. But if it is, it could really stunt his team's potential.
Also, just an interesting point, not that it has any effect in this outcome, but Travis Kelce Chiefs are playing the Raiders this week. You're starting Travis. He's starting Brock Bowers. Whose tight end will reign supreme?
Travis Kelce, hopefully. Man.
So who are you picking, Luke?
Well, I've got to pick myself, because who are you if you don't pick yourself to win? Who are you if you don't believe that you can beat the juggernaut in the league? I'm going full on. I'm going to try and I'm really going to try and be wise about my picks. That might mean Jordan Addison might get the boot by tomorrow night before he plays. So we'll see, though. He could have his 3-touchdown game where he really goes off.
That's right.
I'm picking myself, and I'm really gonna try this week.
Luke, I gotta pick Ross. I don't love Breece Hall going up against the Patriots, even though their own coach calls them soft. I don't like Bijan against Tampa Bay, game 2 in like 4 weeks. He didn't have a ton of success 4 weeks ago. Him being projected 20 points feels a little high.
Yeah, it might be a little. I feel like they always project him at like his ceiling. Like it's not even just like like on an average game, like he'll probably get this. No, it's like, hey, like if you're feeling really hopeful about Bijan, like he'll probably get this.
Yeah. So I just don't love that for you. So and just the juggernaut that is Ross, I just have to pick Ross.
Well, again, that is your right. I really hope to prove you and all the haters wrong.
Yeah.
Because I am on a win streak. Don't know if you've noticed.
Yep, you haven't let me not notice. So last week 8 game, Wiz versus Romness. And this, do you remember the outcome of this week 1?
I do, because this was the pride and joy of the Wiz's team for 3 weeks after he kept losing.
Well, so not only did Wiz get the win in week 1, so it was New York Jets, San Francisco playing Monday night. And if I remember, Sam needed not even 9 points.
I think it was like 5, wasn't it? Or something?
No. So Kittle scored 8 points flat.
Okay.
And he needed
8.7 or something, or 8.3
something along those lines. And he got 8 flat. And so the Wiz ended up beating Sam by 0.24 points in week 1. That's the equivalent of like 6 passing yards.
It's a rough loss.
It is a rough loss. Yeah. So do you think Sam gets some revenge here? How do you feel? The Wiz is the projected winner here, but not by a ton, 6 points.
Let me look at their teams. I mean, yeah, I think I'm actually going to pick the Wiz. And if for no other reason, then it feels like a game that he will win. Like it feels like a game like I don't know, he's just like rolling the dice with his lineup, and it just feels like it's going to be one of those weeks that it pans out for him. Sam's lineup feels a lot more scrapped together and like really like he's just, I mean, he's got Wan'Dale Robinson.
Wandale.
Well, it looks like Wan'Dale, so I'm calling him Wan'Dale.
Okay.
He's got
Chuba.
He's got Chuba, which he'll probably, well, who knows if he'll sub him out.
For Rashad?
For Rashad. You never know. I mean, it's really interesting. I mean, Tyreek Hill, is he going to actually do well or not? It feels like a game that Sam's players are going to let him down.
I guess Sam is actually, we still on?
Yeah, no,
Okay.
I'm just, yeah.
I mean, Sam just lost last week, but prior to that, he was on a 3-game win streak. So you have to put a little respect on his name. But as you know, I've been a big advocate for the Wiz here on this podcast. Lamar Jackson, with him on your team, you're always able to pull out a win. I think he might be one of the best positional advantages in the league this year.
I'm going to show. So I picked the Wiz. Who are you picking?
I'm gonna pick the Wiz.
You're picking the Wiz.
Yes.
Okay.
Just because like I really do feel like Lamar Jackson, one of the biggest positional advantages. Kyron's going up against Minnesota.
So I have, if you go on ESPN, they have like the
comparison
they have the graph, like points scored by week.
Okay.
And I said earlier in the podcast, just as an offhand comment, that Cheese Whiz and the Romness are kindred spirits.
Yeah.
Their graph by far has the highest amount of correlation across any of these matchups this week.
Interesting.
Now, I'm not sure if that compared to others how that would look, but you just look and they are like the first week, obviously they were very close in points. They both went down. They both almost had the same points in week 3, very close in week 4. Every week they've been very, very close in points and have trended very, very similarly. Now, I'll give you the other graphs to just compare, just kind of what like divergent.
You don't have quite the
trends
kindred
look
souls
No.
like Romness and Cheese.
So it'll be really interesting. I think that they're almost like locked in a cosmic battle, for it seems like whenever you get Sam versus Mark, this season specifically that you're going to have a really interesting matchup.
Would you consider them like almost rivals this year?
Almost rivals. I was going to say soulmates, but I think rivals works better. The only other teams that kind of trend similarly would be me and Ross, with the notable exception that he scores just a lot more points than me. So his graph is significantly higher than mine.
It's
but
not like
recently,
it's intertwined.
since week 4, we have been like Sam and Mark, but
Okay.
that's half of the weeks only. So
Yeah.
but yes, Sam and Mark are they're rivals or soulmates or whatever you want to call them. But yes, we are both picking the Cheese Whiz to win this matchup in the rivals quarrel.
Yeah, and I don't think it's gonna be a 6-point win. I think this is gonna come down to a close. I'm not gonna say 0.24 points again, but I do. Are either of them playing? I can't quite tell
If the
who's playing.
graph is any indication, then yes, it will be a close game.
Let's see. Monday night, Sam's got Wanderlei Robinson playing.
Wanderlei.
So it might come down to him getting his points.
Got Tim Brady.
Yeah, so we'll see. The Naj is also playing Monday night if Mark does make that sub. We'll see. Could be an interesting Monday night for that matchup.
Got to manage that flex spot wisely.
Well, Jaden Reed is questionable, I think, right?
Is he?
Yeah, he's
he
questionable.
is.
So we'll see.
He's a must start on Mark's
after
bench,
after
too,
week 1
right?
for sure. Yeah. Okay.
So that's all we've got for this week. Good to be back, and we'll just close this out because we're already over our 45-minute time frame. We're at 52.
Oh man.
I know you had. Oh yeah. What about Boompa's comment? The word marathon comes to mind. Okay, Boompa. I get it. Sit down for an hour is a lot, but anyway. All right. Adios.
Wanderlei out.